In a forest painted with the soft hues of dawn lived a bear named Bruno. He was a mountain of fur and muscle, a walking testament to the raw power of the wild. When Bruno lumbered through the woods, the ground itself seemed to tremble. He could snap thick branches with a careless swipe and send smaller creatures scattering with a single rumbling growl. He wasn't cruel, not really, but he was thoughtless. His strength was a fact of his existence, like the river's flow or the mountain's peak, and he never considered its impact on the world around him. He moved through the forest like a king in an empty castle, unaware of the delicate lives that thrived in his shadow. He would often sit by the great river, watching his own reflection, a powerful silhouette against the sky, feeling a strange, hollow sort of pride in his solitary might. One sun-drenched afternoon, drawn by the sweet, intoxicating scent of nectar, Bruno found himself near an ancient, gnarled oak tree. Its hollows buzzed with a vibrant, golden energy. It was a beehive, a city of countless tiny lives, each one a marvel of purpose. But Bruno didn't see a city. He saw a treasure chest. He craved the honey within, the liquid sunlight that promised to fill the emptiness he sometimes felt. He reared up, his massive claws ready to tear into the wood, his mind focused only on the sweet reward. Just as his claw was about to strike, a tiny voice, sharp and clear as a sliver of glass, pierced the air. "Stop!" Bruno froze, confused. He looked around, his large head swiveling. He saw nothing. He grunted, dismissing it, and raised his paw again. "I said, stop, Spear." The voice was louder this time, buzzing with an intensity that belied its size. Bruno lowered his head and squinted. There, hovering right before his nose, was a bee. She was small, impossibly so, with wings like spun glass and stripes of defiant gold and black. Her stinger was poised, a tiny needle against his vast, furry form. This was Bella. Fear pulsed in her tiny heart, a frantic drumbeat against her ribs, but her gaze was steady. She was the hive's designated guardian, and she would not falter. Bruno let out a low, rumbling chuckle. A bee! A single, minuscule bee was telling him, Bruno, what to do. The absurdity was comical. "Move aside, little one," he grumbled, his voice a low thunder. "I just want the honey." Bella zipped closer, her buzz a furious warning. "This honey is not just food," she declared. "It is our life, Tid. It is the future of our colony, the warmth for our children through the winter. Your moment of sweetness would be our end." Bruno paused. No one had ever spoken to him like this. Fear, yes. AW, certainly. But this defiant reasoning was new. He looked from the tiny, brave bee to the bustling hive, a complex world he had been ready to shatter for a whim. Something, in her words, in her unwavering courage, held him back. He saw not just a pest, but a protector. He grunted, a sound of reluctant concession, and slowly, he lowered his paw and backed away, leaving the sweet scent of honey behind. The encounter lingered in Bruno's mind. He couldn't shake the image of that tiny, fearless bee. He began to watch the hive from a distance, hidden amongst the ferns. He saw things he'd never noticed before. He saw the bees as individuals, not a faceless swarm. He watched them perform their intricate dances, communicating directions to fields of clover. He saw them meticulously cleaning their home, caring for the young, and working with a unity he had never known. Bella, he noticed, was always at the forefront, guiding, encouraging, a tiny leader with an immense spirit. He saw how their collective effort created something beautiful and enduring. He started to understand what she meant. Their strength wasn't in size, but in purpose, in their devotion to each other. His own solitary power suddenly felt crude and pointless. It could destroy, but what could it create? What did it protect? One afternoon, the sky turned a bruised purple. The air grew heavy and still. The birds fell silent. A storm was coming, a fierce one. Wind began to whip through the trees, tearing at leaves and branches. Bruno watched from his cave, his gaze fixed on the old oak. He saw the beehive, exposed and vulnerable. The wind howled, and with a sickening crack, a massive branch high above the hive tore away from the trunk. It swayed precariously, ready to fall and crush the home he had come to respect. Without a second thought, Bruno charged out into the raging storm. Rain plastered his fur, and wind roared in his ears, but he didn't hesitate. He reached the oak tree just as the branch began its fatal descent. Planting his powerful legs, he rose onto his hind paws and caught it. The weight was immense, a jarring shock that ran through his entire body. His muscles screamed in protest. The bark scraped his shoulders, but he held firm. He became a living shield, a furry, breathing wall between the storm's fury and the fragile hive. Inside, the bees huddled together, terrified by the tempest. But Bella, near the entrance, saw the incredible sight. She saw the great bear, the very creature she had once faced down, now using his immense strength not to take, but to give. To protect. He was their guardian, too. Bruno held the branch until the storm exhausted itself, until the wind softened to a whisper and the rain to a gentle patter. When he finally let it fall to the side with a heavy thud, his body ached with a fatigue he had never known. It was a good ache. An ache of purpose. Slowly, the bees emerged. There was no fear in their buzzing now, only a soft hum of wonder and gratitude. Bella flew directly to him, landing gently on his nose, just as she had before. This time, there was no stinger, only a quiet connection. "Thank you," she buzzed, the sound soft and sincere. Bruno didn't need words. He felt a warmth spread through his chest that was sweeter than any honey. He had found a new kind of strength, one that built bridges instead of breaking them. From that day on, an unlikely friendship blossomed in the heart of the forest. Bruno became the hive's official guardian. He would often nap near the old oak, his deep breaths a comforting rhythm for the bees. His presence a deterrent to any who might harm them. In return, the bees shared their wisdom. Bella would perch on his shoulder, telling him the secrets of the flowers, the language of the wind, and the importance of every single life, no matter how small. The other animals of the forest watched in amazement. They saw the great bear, no longer a thoughtless force of nature, but a gentle protector. They saw how his strength, guided by kindness, had become a source of security for the entire community. Bruno had learned from the smallest of creatures that true power wasn't about the ability to dominate, but the choice to protect. And in that lesson, the lonely king of the forest finally found his place. Not as a ruler, but as a friend, a part of the beautiful, intricate tapestry of life.